Welcome to Q&A, Social Security Disability Today. This program is brought to you by the Reeves Law Firm, representing you and your Social Security and disability needs. If you have a problem or questions regarding Social Security and disability, call attorney Anthony Reeves. Here's your host, attorney Anthony Reeves.
Okay, let's get it going. Let's get it right. What is the best way to describe my daily activities? The best way to describe them is describe them in the way that you actually do them. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So many times, and I've said this in other videos, so many times we gloss over or we paraphrase what we do on a daily basis because we do it and we're pretty much on autopilot when we do it. We take for granted if we have to modify the way we do things. So when you're asked about your ability to do things like cook, clean, do groceries, laundry, sleeping, personal hygiene, don't just willy-nilly, scribble something or just say whatever just to blow somebody off. Remember, this when you're filling out forms and describing yourself to Social Security, this is your opportunity to give the Social Security Administration a clear, definitive picture of how your condition limits you. Remember, they do not go to bed with Social Security, does not go to bed with you at night. They do not get up with you in the morning. They don't make your breakfast. They don't go with you to the grocery store. They don't help you with your laundry. So the only way they can know how you're limited is if you tell them. If you have kids and you are looking after your children, don't just gloss over that you're looking after your children. I'll give you a good example. I had a client once who had severe gastrointestinal problems because, Crohn's disease, really bad. So when I asked him about his child rearing, what he would tell me was that he said that my condition was so bad that my wife had to take my kids to school because even though the school's across the street, I would get halfway across and have to run to go to the bathroom. And so we turn right back around and go back to the house. And so there were times when my kids would miss days because I couldn't even get out the house. Guess what? That's a detailed picture that a court can say, man, now looking at it in that context, I can understand how bad his condition is. But if he just merely said, well, I watch after the kids and I take them to school, if he didn't mention all those other things, the court would have no clue that his condition causes him such a disruption in his normal daily activities that he has problems, that he has to have those accommodated. You have to look at it in the same light. When you're describing your daily activities, you've got to keep everything in its perspective, that you are writing and telling this to a person who knows nothing about what you do on a daily basis. So you need to be able to paint a picture for them to give them an accurate indication of what your life is like as a result of your impairments. If you don't do it, you allow Social Security the opportunity to fill in the blank. So in other words, like for instance, if you, on the scenario I gave with the guy with the Crohn's disease, there's a difference between I take my kids to school or versus I have my kids miss school because when I walk them to school, which is only right across the street from me, I can't even get across the street because my Crohn's kicks in and I have to rush back to the bathroom and I end up staying in the bathroom for an hour and my kids miss school. See how both those circumstances are the same? There are days when I'm able to make it, but most days I can't. Well, guess what? I take my kids to school with no other background about the circumstances. So the court assumes what? You're fine to take your kids to school. As opposed to the other side, which is I take my kids to school, but sometimes they don't make it because the Crohn's disease kicks in and they've missed a lot of days because of my condition because I've had to bring them back to the house. Two totally different circumstances. Circumstance number one, I take my kids to school. You leave it up to Social Security to figure out that you're not that bad off to take your kids to school. Situation number two, you let Social Security know how bad your situation is, and they look to see if the medical records is consistent with that type of limitation. Much better for you. Make sure Describe your circumstances. Social Security won't know unless you tell them.